Imagine finding out that the routine birth control pill you took on a Sunday is the exact reason your laser hair removal felt like absolute torture 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that is a rude awakening.
Right. Welcome to the deep dive. We are so glad you're joining us for this because today, well, we're tearing down the illusion that your body operates on some clean, predictable schedule.
It definitely doesn't.
I mean, you book a dentist appointment 6 months out, you plan vacations a year in advance, and you just expect your biology to show up and cooperate with your Google Calendar.
Right, but the reality of human pharmacology is far messier than a calendar.
Right.
When you ingest a chemical, it doesn't just, stay in its designated lane.
No, it really doesn't.
It circulates, it alters pathways, and it forces entirely unrelated systems to recalibrate.
Which brings us to the core mission of today's deep dive. We are answering a very specific question, which is, can emergency contraception affect treatment timing?
And I've got a lot of ground to cover.
Oh, an incredibly dense stack of sources today. We have clinical guidelines from the FDA, pharmacological protocols from the UK's Faculty of Sexual and Reproductive Healthcare, the FSRH plus data from the CDC,
Yeah.
and we're cross-referencing all of that with clinical advisories from various dermatological and laser hair removal centers.
Which is such a fascinating mix. I mean, combining the CDC's reproductive guidelines with aesthetic laser clinic FAQs, it might sound like this weird academic collision.
Totally.
But when you look closely at the underlying endocrinology, the through line is undeniable.
It's a masterclass in biological cause and effect. We tend to think of emergency birth control as just, well, the morning after, you take it, the problem is solved, and you move on.
Exactly.
But looking at these sources, one single pill essentially pushes back the first line of code in your body's software sequence.
That's a great way to put it.
And that alters every scheduled command that follows for the rest of the month. It dictates the timing of routine daily medications, your pain tolerance, and even whether or not you can, get a cosmetic procedure done on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, the domino effect is huge.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can understand how emergency contraception affects other treatments, we first need to understand the incredibly strict ticking clock required for the treatment itself.
Right. And to understand the timing, we have to isolate the two main oral options the clinical guidelines focus on. First, there's levonorgestrel.
Okay.
This is the active synthetic progestin found in over-the-counter brands like Plan B or Lovonel.
Got it.
And the second option is ulipristal acetate, which is a prescription medication you'll see under brand names like Ella or Elamo.
And the sources make a hard distinction between these two when it comes to efficacy windows. Like, levonorgestrel is officially licensed for use up to 72 hours, so 3 days after unprotected sex.
Yeah, 3 days.
Though the UK's FSRH and the CDC both stress that the efficacy curve drops off a cliff after the first 24 hours,
It really does.
but ulipristal acetate, Ella, maintains a steady, high level of effectiveness for a full 120 hours. That is 5 entire days.
Yeah, and that 5-day window is a direct reflection of human cellular viability.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is the massive survival mismatch between sperm and eggs.
Oh, this part blew my mind.
Right. If you're listening to this and assuming the pill just destroys a fertilized egg, the pharmacology tells a completely different story.
Completely different.
An unfertilized egg is actually incredibly fragile. It only lives for roughly 12 to 24 hours after ovulation.
Wow.
But sperm, however, are highly resilient. They can survive in the cervical mucus and fallopian tubes for up to 5 days.
Which makes the FSRH guidelines read less like a medical textbook and more like air traffic control.
Yes?
I was thinking about this while digging into the survival data. You can visualize the sperm as like connecting passengers arriving at a terminal.
Okay, I like this.
Right. They can survive in the lounge for up to 5 days, just waiting for their flight. And the egg is the departing flight. If that flight takes off while they're in the lounge, they make the connection, and a pregnancy begins. So the goal of the pill isn't to cancel the flight entirely.
Right, it just delays the departure.
Exactly. The pill holds the departing flight on the tarmac just long enough so that the connecting passengers exhaust their 5-day layover. They literally die out in the terminal before the egg is ever released.
Mechanically, that delay is achieved by targeting the luteinizing hormone, or LH.
Okay.
The LH surge is the biological trigger that tells the ovarian follicle to rupture and, release the egg.
Right.
So levonorgestrel works by suppressing that LH surge, but only if you catch it early enough. Ulipristal acetate, though, is actually potent enough to delay ovulation even as the LH levels are beginning to rise.
Wow, so it catches it at the last second.
Exactly. By taking the pill, you suppress the physiological trigger, keeping the egg locked away until the sperm are no longer viable.
And that distinction fundamentally rewrites the narrative of emergency contraception. I mean, it's a delaying tactic. But the clinical data shows us that when you delay ovulation, you don't just delay an egg.
No, you don't.
You shift the entire hormonal schedule for the rest of the cycle.
Because the luteal phase of the menstrual cycle, so the period between ovulation and menstruation that operates on a relatively fixed timeline.
Right.
If you force the ovaries to pause for 5 days, the shedding of the uterine lining is inevitably going to be pushed off schedule as well.
And that biological delay creates a massive, totally counterintuitive scheduling conflict if you're trying to resume your regular daily birth control.
Oh, absolutely.
The CDC and the UK's FSRH guidelines are incredibly rigid about this restart process. Like if you take levonorgestrel, the 72-hour pill, the guidelines instruct you to execute a quick start.
Yeah, quick start.
Meaning you resume your normal daily hormonal birth control pill immediately. The FSRH insists you take it within 12 hours of the emergency dose.
You basically pick right back up where you left off, adding a barrier method like condoms for the next 7 days, while the daily pill reestablishes a consistent hormone level in your bloodstream.
But if you take ulipristal acetate, the 5-day pill, the FDA guidelines mandate that you must wait exactly 5 days before starting or resuming regular hormonal birth control.
Yes. You have to wait.
Wait, hold on. That makes zero sense. If the whole goal is to stop an unwanted pregnancy, why on earth would the FDA force you to sit unprotected for 5 whole days? Shouldn't you be doubling up on your daily pill immediately to reinforce the blockade?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we find a brutal clash of pharmacology.
Okay, lay it on me.
Doubling up is the exact opposite of what you want to do. We have to look at the molecular structure of ulipristal acetate. It is categorized as a progesterone receptor modulator.
Right.
It binds directly to the progesterone receptors in your body to execute that LH suppression we just talked about.
So it physically attaches to the cell receptors to hold off the egg.
Exactly. Now look at your regular daily birth control pill. The vast majority of daily pills contain progestin, which is a highly concentrated synthetic form of progesterone.
Ah, I see where this is going.
Right. So if you take your daily birth control pill right after taking Ella, you flood your system with synthetic progestin.
And both of these chemicals are looking for the exact same receptors.
Yes. The synthetic progestin has a powerful binding affinity. Because you're flooding the body with it, it actually outcompetes the emergency contraceptive.
Oh, wow.
It physically kicks the ulipristal acetate off the receptors.
Really?
Yeah, effectively neutralizing Ella's ability to delay ovulation. By trying to, double down on protection with your daily pill, you are actively sabotaging the emergency contraceptive.
So you take the emergency pill to stop the egg, and then you take your daily pill, which terminates the emergency pill's function, allowing the egg to be released while viable sperm are still waiting in the terminal.
That is exactly what happens.
That is a wild pharmacological trap.
It is. It requires extreme vigilance. The FDA and CDC mandate the 5-day wait because you have to let the ulipristal acetate occupy those receptors completely unimpeded for the full 5-day survival lifespan of the sperm.
Okay.
You rely entirely on condoms during that window. Then, on day 6, you restart your daily pill and continue using condoms for another 7 days while the daily pill builds its own efficacy back up.
So a single moment of unprotected sex on a Saturday doesn't just mean a quick trip to the pharmacy on Sunday. It means you're fundamentally rewriting your medication and biological schedule for the next 12 days.
Yeah, and the physiological cascade continues outward from there.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This internal delay spills out into the physical world, impacting procedures that seem totally unrelated to reproductive health.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically scheduled cosmetic treatments like laser hair removal.
Because aesthetic dermatology is highly dependent on hormonal baselines.
Let's look at the clinical trials submitted to the FDA for Ella. After taking the pill, 19% of subjects reported their period was delayed by more than 7 days.
That's a significant chunk.
It is. And another 7% reported it arriving more than 7 days early. So over a quarter of all women who take this medication will see their cycle shift by more than a week.
And if you're meticulously planning a cosmetic procedure around your menstrual cycle to avoid discomfort, well, that pharmacological delay completely destroys your timeline.
Exactly. We reviewed FAQs from multiple specialized clinics, places like Satori Laser, Urbana, Aesthetica, Pulse Light Clinic, and they all document this exact phenomenon. You book a laser session for your bikini area 6 weeks in advance, aiming for the middle of your cycle. You take an emergency contraceptive, your software code gets pushed back, and suddenly your period arrives on the exact morning of your laser appointment.
And from a purely medical standpoint, the dermatological consensus is that getting laser hair removal while menstruating is totally safe. You aren't going to cause systemic damage.
Okay, good to know.
But the issue is severe tolerability.
The clinics emphasize that during your period, your skin sensitivity just skyrockets and your pain tolerance plummets.
Dramatically.
A laser treatment that normally feels like a light, irritating rubber band snap suddenly feels agonizing.
And we have to trace that pain back to the hormonal shift. Estrogen plays a massive role in skin health.
Right.
It maintains the skin barrier, promotes hydration, and naturally suppresses inflammation. But in the days immediately leading up to and during a period, estrogen levels plummet.
So as the estrogen drops, the skin basically loses its built-in defense mechanism.
Yes. And simultaneously, your body ramps up the production of prostaglandins.
Which cause the cramps, right?
Exactly. They're lipid compounds that cause uterine contractions. But prostaglandins also increase systemic inflammation and make pain receptors hyperreactive. So you have weakened skin being struck by a high-heat laser combined with these hyperreactive nerve endings.
Wait, let me ask you this. Is the laser actually interacting with the hormones themselves, or is it just the skin's reaction? Because it's not like the laser beam is hunting down estrogen or prostaglandins in your bloodstream.
No.
It's utilizing selective photothermolysis, right? Just targeting the dark melanin in the hair follicle. So the laser hasn't changed its behavior at all. The canvas has changed.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
The canvas is inflamed and stripped of its natural healing properties. The recovery time from the session is subsequently dragged out.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, temporary redness and swelling around the hair follicles, which might normally fade in 2 hours, that can persist for 24 to 48 hours because the skin lacks the estrogen needed to quickly repair the barrier.
And the complications don't end with just the pain of a shifted period. We have to factor in the daily birth control pill you just restarted after your mandated 5-day waiting period.
Right, because restarting a combined hormonal birth control pill introduces a massive surge of estrogen and progestin back into the bloodstream.
A sudden flood.
Exactly. And many of these synthetic hormones actually stimulate melanocytes, the cells in your skin that produce pigment.
Making the skin photosensitive.
Highly sensitive to light and UV radiation. When your melanocytes are hyperactive due to that sudden hormonal flood, the laser energy can be absorbed by the surrounding skin instead of just the hair follicle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this drastically increases the risk of burns or triggering melasma, which are stubborn, dark patches of hyperpigmentation that can take months to fade.
So you take an emergency pill, which forces a 5-day pause on your daily pill. Your cycle shifts, causing your estrogen to drop, dropping your pain tolerance, and slowing your skin's healing.
Right.
Then you finally restart your daily pill, flooding your system with synthetic hormones that overstimulate your pigment cells, putting you at risk for dark facial patches if a laser hits your skin.
It's intense.
The chain reaction is staggering.
It really is. And it completely validates why clinics like YouLike and SEV Laser legally require clients to disclose every medication they're taking, including recent changes to hormonal birth control.
Yep.
A technician needs to know if your skin is in a chemically induced photosensitive state. They have to adjust the laser settings, utilize heavy cooling mechanisms, or simply refuse to treat you that day to protect your skin barrier.
The Suddenly Slimmer Clinic FAQ points out the practical logistics as well. Like, if your period is chemically forced onto the day of a bikini laser appointment, I mean, you can physically wear a tampon.
Yeah.
But trying to grit your teeth through an agonizingly sensitive laser session while dealing with unexpected prostaglandin cramps and bloating is enough to make anyone cancel. The medication completely dictates the aesthetic outcome.
And this physiological interconnectedness applies to a vast array of chemicals. Dermatological sources routinely flag acne medications like Accutane or specific classes of antibiotics.
Right.
Those alter the skin barrier so severely that you must wait up to 6 months before a laser can safely touch your skin.
So what does this all mean? If you've ever sat in a clinic waiting room wondering why you have to fill out a comprehensive medication history just to get some hair removed, well, this biological journey is your answer.
It really is.
We are taught to view our bodies as modular machines. Like, the reproductive system is on one floor, the integumentary skin system is on another, and they never talk.
But this deep dive proves they share the exact same signaling pathways. You cannot isolate a systemic chemical.
No.
The hormones that govern fertility are the exact same hormones dictating how your nerve endings interpret pain and how your skin reacts to thermal light.
We look at our calendars and assume we have total control over our schedules. But pushing back that single line of biological code with one pill rewrites the entire operating system for the month.
It does.
Which leaves me thinking, if a single dose of an emergency contraceptive can alter your pain tolerance, slow your skin's healing process, and completely dictate the scheduling of aesthetic treatments, how might other common overlooked medications be secretly orchestrating the outcomes of our everyday physical experiences?
That's a great question.
Right. Are the daily antihistamines you take for allergies subtly altering how your muscles recover from the stress of a heavy workout? Is the ibuprofen you take for a mild headache quietly rewriting how your gut metabolizes your dinner? We think we are the ones writing our schedules, but underneath the surface, our chemistry is the one actually holding the pen.
That underlying chemistry definitely demands a lot more of our attention.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it gave you a radically new perspective on the hidden pathways inside your own body. Until next time.